Hey guys, it's Jocelyn Shantae. Today we're going to be talking about trauma. So what is trauma, trauma responses, and let's go from there. So trauma is a deeply stressful, emotional, scary, disturbing experience that you have. So a lot of people have different ways they experience trauma. So say you were sexually abused, if you got into a car accident, or just any types of different things, that experiences that you had where it wasn't pleasant or really disturbing to you, and you kind of think about it over and over again. So I can tell you about a trauma experience that I went through. So last summer, July 22, I was 5 months pregnant and I went into premature labor. And because I was only 19 weeks, they couldn't do anything to stop my labor. They couldn't do anything to help my baby. So I was in labor for 2 days. And after that, I had her, pushed her out and everything. She lived for a couple hours. I had felt her little body in my arms and everything, and felt her moving around. But she was old enough to survive on her own, so she ended up passing away a couple hours after she was born. So it wasn't a stillbirth. Her heart was beating and everything when she was born, but because she was old enough, she couldn't survive on her own, and nothing they could do for her to help her to survive, basically. So that brings me to trauma responses. So a trauma response is the emotional response you feel to a traumatic event. So a response can be when the experience first happens, you can feel denial or shock. And then long-term feelings may manifest as unpredictable emotions, so you can't handle or manage your emotions. You have flashbacks, may cause strained relationships. You may have experienced physical responses as well, as headaches, nausea. Sometimes people feel depressed, or just don't want to do anything, lack of motivation. Those all can be trauma responses. A perfect example of a trauma response is when it was September. Went over my friend's house. She just had her baby and wasn't even thinking about it or anything. She tried to just hand me her baby just to, show me her new baby and everything. But before I could, soon I had picked my hands up, and then I was like, I had just bust out in tears. And it's something I couldn't control it. I didn't know I would have that response. It was just how my body reacted, and the last baby that I held was my baby. So I don't know if that was the reason that triggered me, but I couldn't do it. I didn't know, my body reacted before before I could even react. A lot of time my body reacts and I don't know what's going on. So even around for women, around my period, I'll get more depressed, and I didn't notice it until I actually started paying attention to what was going on. Now that's when I get more emotional, especially about my daughter and everything. So had to figure that out. So self-awareness, being aware of how you're feeling, what's going on around you. Your body can tell you if something's coming up or something like that before you can, or you will know yourself, or you even cognitively can pay attention to it. So that's important too. Just pay attention to what can trigger you, so that you can try to teach yourself how to react during those moments, so they won't be as triggering, or they won't be as traumatic again. Also, there's a thing as secondary trauma. Secondary trauma is when something happens to somebody else, but you feel that impact on your life, and it affects you as well. So when everything happened with losing my daughter, I feel like my twin sister felt a secondary trauma response to that, or a lot of us did, actually, a lot of our close family and friends, because we were really excited about her. She was in my womb, but that was my best friend already. I talked to her every day. So say somebody the situation that happened to me, I went into premature labor. Couldn't be predicted, nothing I did to trigger it or anything, but that may be traumatic for somebody else that see me go through that, because they may make them fearful of getting pregnant or having kids or anything. So that can be like a secondary trauma. So we'll also talk about post-traumatic stress disorder, or PTSD as some people know it. So PTSD develops in people who have experienced or witnessed a stressful or disturbing event. It's a condition of persistent and emotional stress and involves sleep disturbances. It can involve like flashbacks that include like vivid recall of that experience. So I do experience like I'm self-diagnosed PTSD, but I do experience like those vivid flashbacks, like when I try to sleep sometimes. It's just the flashbacks to everything that happened. Like when that experience happened, it was over a course of like a week. So I will say July 1st, I went into the hospital. I went to just go get checked up to see what was going on. I felt something was wrong, but I didn't know what. So I was like, let me just go to the ER, get checked out, and I'll just be home later on. But then I got to the ER. They told me, what was going on. Called my boyfriend, and they told me he needs to come now because I was in labor and I was really sick. So that day I was in the hospital. They were trying to start to give me antibiotics and stuff. They were saying really was nothing they could do. The second day they gave me antibiotics. Also the second day, it was the second or third day, I transferred to another hospital for a second opinion because I wasn't accepting what they were giving me, or we weren't accepting what they were giving us, and we wanted to see if we can do anything to save our daughter. But after that, we were on July 3rd. I had her at like almost something in the morning. It was my sister and my mom came earlier that day in the hospital, and they left at like at midnight. And then a little bit afterwards, I had her. I was in so much pain. It was hard. It was hard to deal with. It was hard to experience. I think a lot of the time my eyes were closed because I was just so scared. I didn't know what I was going to do. I didn't know if I would survive because the doctor was telling me, like, when I was trying to switch to hospitals, they was like, you can die in transit and everything. So that's really hard. I was trying to save my life as well as my baby life. And it was just, I didn't know what to do. I couldn't. It was just really scary. It was really like traumatizing. Like I really, like the flashbacks I experienced, even like today, I still experience. Today was a hard day because those flashbacks kept coming. It's like, I feel like, what can I have done to like prevent it? But it's nothing I could have done. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a miracle worker. I'm not God. I can't change the past, and I can't make nothing happen. So it's like how you deal with your trauma is, talking about it. You let people in. Like I didn't usually want to talk to people about it because I didn't want to provide or give them that secondary trauma. So sometimes go to a support group that do the same thing as you. That may be helpful. I journal a lot. I write letters. I pray a lot. Talk to my daughter sometimes, and that's how and I reach out and let people know when I need help, when I'm having a hard day. I talk to my boyfriend about it. You really just got to figure out what works for you and what you can do to help ease that pain, help, walk you through those moments. Like grief is very hard. Trauma is very hard to deal with, but being aware of like where you are, that can help you out with, working through them feelings. But, sometimes you need to just be alone, but don't be alone too much where it's bad for you. Be alone when it's beneficial for you. Take some time for yourself. Write out your thoughts. Cry. I cry a lot about it, because that's something I still struggle with. I don't know, if I'll ever just get over it, but yes, I'm a therapist, but therapists need therapists too. Like, I do have my own therapist that I, talk to and work through, some of my feelings, because it's hard, and sometimes I don't want to just talk to, normal, everyday people or, the people in my life, because I don't feel like I don't want to burden them. But that's the wrong thing to do, to think, because some people want you to come to them. They say come to them, so come to them and see what they say. Like I did. I have a great support system. I have a great village. They help lift me up. My boyfriend is one, and my family, his family as well. Like, we all came together. Some people, said some things. Some people just they didn't get it. So some of their comments, was wasn't what they're supposed to be. So I just had to ignore them because the state that I was in, how I reacted to what they said, if I reacted to it, wasn't going to be pleasant and probably would have broke some relationships. And I know how to control myself where I don't get to that point where I'm not controlling my actions. It's hard to have that experience. It's hard to work through life's traumas and then just go on about each day. I think what was hard for me was just coming home. I felt empty. My house felt empty because she's supposed to be here with us. She was supposed to everything wasn't supposed to happen like it happened, and I did feel a lot of guilt about it, but I had to work through those feelings because it really wasn't nothing I could do. So identify if you have trauma in your past. Identify what you can do to work through that so it won't manifest its way in different ways in your life. So you don't deal with it directly, it will manifest itself later on in your life, and that's physical symptoms, that's emotional responses, it can be anything. So, and that is really hard for me, but I continue to work on it. I continue to talk about it when I need to, and I continue to just do best for me. If I need a break from people, I take a break. Some people I don't talk about it with because they don't understand, and it's like, why would I? A leaning ear is a leaning ear, but it's better to experience and talk to people about stuff that they experienced it too. So, but a lot of stuff too I struggle with was me and my boyfriend trying not to trigger each other because of we both just looked at each other like, what the heck happened? Like, we just were in disbelief. And I'm not going to speak on him and his story because that's his story, but just for me, like, it was a learning experience. It was an eye-opener, like, that a lot of things are out of our control, and even though how bad we want things to work out, it may not work out. So how do you deal with afterwards? I think I'll leave it on that. You guys have a nice day.